Good morning. Happy Monday. How is my people? ¿Dónde está mi gente? Let's see who comes on. When you come on, let me know where you're watching from, how you're feeling this Monday morning, what's going on in your world. Let me know what it's up. What it's up. Oh my goodness. You know, I was sitting here and I did the thing. Before I even go into our ancestors, I'm going to share something with you. So there was someone, my husband and I, we used to own a 20,000 square foot facility, this amazing gym. And there is just like no other in Palm Beach County. Busybody is just an amazing gym. But when we first bought the gym, there was growing pains. Let's just say it that way, right? We came in, we walked in to like almost 50 employees overnight. And we didn't know how to handle a lot of things, right? We didn't know how to handle a lot of things. And there was this meeting. Hi, Sheila. Good morning. Where are you watching from, Sheila? How are you feeling this morning, sister? I hope you are abundantly blessed. And I'm going to get into our ancestors. Trust me, I am. But I just want to finish the story. Not sure when you tuned in. Hi, Martha. Good morning. But this is what happened. This trainer, we had friction. Let's just say friction. And it did not go in the way that I did not show up. In the way that I wanted to show up. And I train. We sold the gym. It's 2 years that we sold the gym, and I started training about a year ago, and I see this trainer, and every time I see him, I just know I need to say something because it did not end good. But I keep on making an excuse as to why I'm not going to go up there and make it right. And I finally did. And there's such freedom, you all. There's such freedom when you say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Can we start again? Right? There's such freedom. Where you're watching from, Colleen, let me know. Fatima, good morning, Lawrence. Right? I just said, hey, I'm sorry. And it was so good. We talked for about maybe 15 minutes. And I feel like there is a huge weight off me. And I share with that being vulnerable. And it's not about who was right or who was wrong. It's about me being in the same space as this trainer and having all this come up. And it doesn't need to be. I said, I just want to be able to say, hey, how are you? It's so good to see you. I want to be able to say that from my heart, and I don't want to feel weird. And, is there someone like that in your life? Is there someone like that in your life that you need to make it right? And it took me long enough. I'm just confessing right here. Fatima, where you're watching from, and are you happy? Is it thank God it's Monday? Because it's thank God it's Monday for me. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Wednesday. And every other day is thank God, right? It's another day above water, above dirt, right? Thank you, Jesus. But I thought about a lot this weekend about my sister Maggie. So my sister Maggie, there is 9 of us, which we found another brother, so there are maybe 10 of us. We don't know. My mom says, no, I don't think so. I think that brother is not your brother. But anyway, there's definitely 9 of us. But my sister Maggie is who I wanted to grow up to be like. And she was a model, a beautiful soul. And Maggie used to own a modeling agency back in the day when she was 18 years old, just a young girl. My uncle, I thought about him earlier today as I was in the Stairmaster. My trainer said, listen, 2 things she said this morning. You have to stop eating steak, which, okay, whatever. That's what she said. She said, hey, that's for men that want to bulk up, okay? I'm in this carnivore diet. I'm only eating meat, you all. So I was eating a lot of steak, 80% probably. And she said, no, we can't have any of that. We're not going to get on stage lean if we continue to have steak. So it's all about the fish for the next 8 weeks and the chicken and everything else. But when I thought about my sister Maggie, and there's people like that in your life, have you thought about what your ancestors will want you to do this week? Seriously. They invested so much into us. I was sharing yesterday that with my husband, you know, my sister Maggie, she had a son, and her only son was my nephew Alexis. He, right around spring break, it's a difficult time for me because he was killed on the 16th of March, and it was 15 years this year. It marked a huge anniversary. And my nephew, this is what I thought about as I went to the beach. That's why I'm all red, because I needed a mental health day. On that day, I went to the beach because the beach is my happy place. And I thought a lot about what she would want me to do and what she would want me to think. You know, he was a beautiful soul, as there is 86 people that witnessed my nephew's death. And it was in Miami Beach. It was in the middle of spring break. And my nephew was about 6'1". And the young man, 6'2" maybe, the young man that took his life was about 5'4". And my nephew's dying words were, stop. Stop. Why are you killing me? Stop. Just stop. Please stop. And he never fought him back. He could have smoked this kid, okay? But he never fought back. He never did anything. And as I was there, sitting at the beach, I thought, you know, I believe that my sister actually attracted cancer, because the minute that was her only son. And rightfully so. I probably would have felt the same way. It was like her life ended at that moment. And she did great things. Maggie did great things after her only child was killed, murdered, in front of a police department, out of all places. No one did anything. No one did anything. They just watched. Young people, they take out their phones. That's what they do. And my goodness, Lord help us. But in his funeral, I said, you know, I'm just grateful to God that I have a nephew that did not kill, that it was not in him to kill someone. And there's no judgment to the young man that killed him. I don't know where that young man was at. And we forgiving him, and we have moved on as a family. But I thought about, what would my sister want me to think today? How would she want me to show up today? And I thought about, she would want me to have joy. She would want me to be grateful for the hugs that my nephew gave me, for the life that we share. He was always titi, 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 you know, which is aunt. You know, he was such a sweet soul, and we were in that same space. I was also sharing with a young man that's homeless, that we met, just a beautiful young man. He's 23 years old, and he's homeless, and he was sharing with me how he needed, the reason why he lost his job, he said to me, is because his bike had a flat tire. His bike had a flat tire. And I said, okay, when you bike, how long does it take you to get to that job, to that construction site? He said, it takes me about 5 to 10 minutes when I go bike riding. Sandra, good morning. Salvadora, good morning. Where are you guys watching from? Let me know. And let me know if who's that ancestor that you think about. When you think about them, you truly want to show up for yourself and for others. For me, that ancestor is definitely my sister Maggie, definitely my grandfather, and my tío Fellito, because he was just a giver. He gave to all of us. But this young man says, and I asked him, I said, how long would it take you to walk to this job site? And he said, it would take me 20 to 30 minutes. And I said, okay. He's from Guatemala, a beautiful young man. No judgment again. Who am I to judge anyway? But I said to him, I said, wait a minute. You lost a job because you are not willing to walk 20, 30 minutes? I was raised by a grandfather part of my life that walked 2 hours to work in the heat, in the sun, as my grandfather, as an older man, and then 2 hours back. And he did that 6 days a week. Okay? I walked those walks with my grandfather. And as a young girl, that was difficult. I have uncles and aunts that walked 5 kilometers in my country in the sun with no water, no comfort, to go to school. But they became attorneys. They became doctors. They became newspaper reporters. They became those things because their why was important to them. I say, honey, because he's not married, he doesn't have any children, he doesn't have a big why. I say, you need to go back. You need to go back and you need to really think about his grandfather. Is crazy because his grandfather, his name is Jose, just like mine. My grandfather's name was Jose. And his grandmother's name was Maria. And my grandmother's name was Maria. And I said, look, you got to go back and think of Jose and think of Maria and think about all that they invested into you so that you can stand here and be in this country, in America, where people are literally risking their lives to come here, and you're saying you're not willing and able to walk 20, 30 minutes. Like, I'm sorry, you need to do better. If not for you, for them, for your parents that are in Guatemala, for your brother and little sister that's in Guatemala. So today, when you think of not showing up for yourself, you and I, we got to think of those people. I get up every day. I'm going to be 60 this year by God's grace. And I get up every day and I get up thinking, of course, of my family. Of course, of taking care of myself. I need to put a roof over my head. I need to make sure that things are good. But I also think of my parents. I also think of my siblings. I also think of those that I support, the ministries that I support, the recovering addicts that I support, or the homeless people that we help. I think of them and I go back to those that actually invested into me. I think of Maggie. I think of that woman losing her only son and saying, you know what? I need to find a new purpose. And she opened her agency. She moved from Broward. She moved to Viera to be close to her husband's work. And she opened an agency there to help young people to be able to focus on something better and have and do better with their self-esteem, with their confidence, and things of that nature. What are you and I? Claudia, good morning. Steve, good morning. Nancy, good morning. Sandra, good morning. Bendiciones. God bless you. Who is it that we're showing up for? You know, at my sister's funeral, one of the things that I asked her, I said, Maggie, what is the one thing that you want to do? This is a woman that has stage 4 cancer that has just been diagnosed in November, and this is New Year's Day. And I said, so what are your goals for 2020? And she goes, you know, I always wanted to have a fashion line. I want to do that. I want something that has my name on it. And I said, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's create it. And she created a beautiful line for those young people. High tops and sweat shirts and all these things. I mean, it was just the most beautiful images and design. And we were in the middle of the pandemic. Nobody knew that there was going to be such a thing as COVID-19. And, you know, rehearsals kept on being postponed for the line. And we could not launch the line because of all the things that were happening as her health deteriorated. But she had everything ready. And August 2nd, 2020, she passed. And her funeral was a few days later, and I asked her husband, how can we honor you and honor her memory? And that fashion show, it was a different funeral. We were at a church, and we had a beautiful fashion show with her line to honor her. And those young people that she poured into, and I'm not young, but she poured into me. She poured into me. And when I don't want to show up for myself, I think of her. I think of her designing for those young people and giving her all. And giving her all. As she is extremely sick from cancer, she gave her all. I do this video to say, this live today. Good morning, Iris. Who is it that you need to go back and think about? Is it a grandmother? Is it a mother? Is it a father? Is it a sibling? Who is it that you need to go back to and think about for you to show up on this Monday morning? Today is a new beginning. I'm in a transition myself. I am. You know, I am doing something different that takes a lot of work, a lot of commitment. But I'm committed because I think about the Henrys of the world, right? I think about those people that need help. Maybe people that have a record that cannot get a regular job, you know? People that maybe are not able to get a license, right? I've been in public adjusting for 36 years by God's grace, and it's been a great ride. I am officially licensed in 9 states, as of recent, the state of Hawaii. And I'm excited, and I was very excited to be able to help the families in Hawaii. And I may in the future, but for now, I'm transitioning. I thought it was going to be into business coaching, and I may. But for right now, I'm putting all my energy into real estate investing. Because in real estate investing, there's a lot of people that I can pull from the ditch. You know, it's kind of like when I own my construction company. I could make a decision to put an addict to come work for me. When I own my restoration company, the woman that actually ran my company, Teresa, and she was an addict. She was a heroin addict. And she had she literally went through withdrawals in our home. And she was someone that eventually became a leader in my company. And no one else could have given her probably that chance. I had a young man, Stanley, that worked for me that was a gangbanger. I had another guy that was a heroin addict. I had so many people, and I'm not going to call them out, but a lot of people that the Lord allowed me to help. Real estate represents that for me. Not only is something that I can build legacy and be able to help my family, is something that back in 2000 I started, and I was an investor and lost my shirt and then ran the other way. I got scared. That's really truly what happened. I was a single mom. I wasn't married to Corey, and I lost everything. I came to Florida with money. I sold our home, our family home in California, and then put all my money out there and lost everything, just like a lot of millions of people in the country, right? And I was scared. I was scared to be able to take a chance on myself. But today, I'm grateful that I have put my fears aside. It's something that I can do. It's something I can teach to my children. Anyone can wholesale. Anyone can pick up the phone. It doesn't matter if you have a record. What I used to tell people that worked for us, I remember it doesn't, my ex-husband saying, it doesn't take all that to build a business. What you need is to say, sign here. That's all. And that you know how to do. You know how to sell. Because I used to be like, oh, but I need an office. And I need this and I need that. And he's like, no, all you need is a contract and say sign here. And we actually launched Community Builders, Inc., our first business in 1993. Living in an apartment in Bell Gardens. I mean, it was gangs all around us. But that's how we started the business. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to him saying, you know, you have what it takes. And I hope that this video helps you to understand that you do have what it takes. You're a child of the living God. You are anointed by God. One of the things, you know, I pulled this book and I'm not sure that I can pull this book because it's going to be coming out April 1st. Frank McKinney, you can go on his website. But it's aspirational. Maybe I will. Aspirational images. Aspirational thoughts, inspirational images. Every time you buy one of these books, you support an entire village in Haiti. He has 50 of those villages that he supports. And, you know, kids from eating dirt to kids that actually have a meal and a roof over their head. Frank McKinney, if you don't know him, he is someone that does a $50 million homes here in Palm Beach, and he's now in North Carolina, I believe. He builds spec homes, and he says back in the day, I made a post about this the other day, but back in the days, he was being recognized on the paper for a $14 million home that he built, and it was his face on the paper. And then he actually folded the paper like this. He took the paper, and let's say his face was here, but then on the other side, there was a homeless man. And he said, if it was not for the grace of God, there goes I. What was the difference between me and this man? And he said, at that moment, I became another man. Because that picture gave me purpose. That picture allowed me to be able to understand that I have been privileged to be on this side of the newspaper. And that's how he started his nonprofits in the most needed country that we have, the poorest country. And that was before all this is happening in the country of Haiti. That was then. I can't imagine now. So today, allow purpose. That one picture changed his life forever. It could be this life that changes your life. Go back and think about the people that invested, the people that sacrificed, the people that gave for you to be there. I think of my mother, and I think of this little woman, not even 5 feet tall, but she's a giant. I am blessed to have been birthed by a giant. That little woman came to this country pregnant with my little sister, with 3 little girls in the Dominican Republic that she left behind. And that woman has worked. That woman taught me grit, consistency, unconditional love. I was sharing that with Henry yesterday as we sat and we had lunch with him. And I said, you know, whenever I don't want to show up for myself, I think of my sister Maggie. I think of my grandfather. But I think of this woman that's 82 years old and still sends money. I have right now my trunk full of stuff for her to send a box to the Dominican Republic. Okay? She sends money. She sends clothing. Every couple of months, she'll send boxes to my country for those that are in jails, for those that are in hospitals, for those that are in need. How can I not show up for me? How can I not? When I see that example, how can I not? Yesterday, the pastor was preaching and he said, when I think of Jesus, when I think of the very fact that I'm going to spend eternity taken care of, how could I not serve him? How could I not, right? How could I not show up for myself when I have been given so much? I'm so privileged. And I know that we can. Good morning, Johnny, Kathy, good morning. Where are you guys watching from? Let me know. I know that all of us have life happen, right? Life be lifing, right? But it doesn't mean that we don't show up. We show up because we want to be able to build legacy. And for me, like very soon, I'm going to be having my 7th, my 7th grandchild. For me, that is a blessing and a privilege. I'm just a hope to die drug addict that was bound by sin, that Jesus delivered and set free. I said a simple prayer that changed my entire life. And by his grace, this year on November 16th, is going to be 33 amazing years. Easy years? No. The life of a Christian is not an easy life, but I would not change it for anything. The very fact that God allowed me to have 4 children and he forgave me after having 5 abortions, after killing 5 children, he allowed me to be a mother, and now I'm going to be having my 7th grandbaby. How could I not show up? He's been so good to me. And he's no respecter of men. The same way that he's been so good to me, he's been so good to you. Find it, dig for it, look for it. Look for the good in the day. Look for the day in what he's done. God's been good. We're not always. We're not faithful, but he is. Has he been good to you? Let me know. Share with me. Comment below. How good has Jesus been to you? Stay abundantly blessed. Think about your ancestors. Think about how they will want you and I to show up today. I say it to me. Glennis, show up, girl. Show up. Show up for you. Show up for legacy. Show up for your babies. For God's sakes, show up for the next generation. Let's leave this place better than we found it. Can we do that? Be blessed. I love you guys. Have a good day. God bless.